Now in the Crosshairs, our weekly feature every Monday afternoon at 12:30. We've got our good friends JD and Clay. Glad to have you guys both back in the Crosshairs with me this afternoon, fellas.
Hey, morning, Jay.
Hey, great.
I guess for me, morning for Clay.
Yeah. Well,
Here, yeah.
we've got quite a lot to get to here in the next half hour or so, so let's jump right into it. North Dakota gun bills and the baiting bill. I understand there's been some movement on these here. Now, JD, would you like to care to expand a little bit on that for us, please?
Yeah, sure. We'll go on that baiting bill first. That's House Bill 1151, and they're taking testimony on it, written testimony. You can submit it or through your computer or your phone here. You just go to ndlegis.gov and you can go on there. There's a tab on there. You can click down and punch the bill number in. I think right when you get to the homepage, actually, with your computer, it'll be on the top right. And you can just put in there 1151 in the year 2023, and from there they'll direct you where to submit your testimony to, and then we'll see how that goes. And I guess it's going to go to the vote for the Senate, and then from there we'll see what happens if it passes. And I mean, I'm in favor of banning, so I know what I'm going to be submitting on that one for sure.
Okay, all right. And Clay, what's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Get in there, get your testimony on there. That'll help push it over the edge. As far as discussed this before, the baiting bill, I'm 100% for. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And the compromises made from the into the Senate, I think are just fine right now. And it's going to be a great thing. I think it's a great tool.
Sure. Well, looks like we got a little bit of little issue with Clay there, but we'll work around it.
Yeah.
Your internet's not working as well as you'd like it, Clay. Okay, here's a couple stories that I know JD had sent to us here. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has slammed the loose, we use that term loosely, I guess, U.S. gun policy, saying it's breeding violence around the world. What are your thoughts on that, JD?
Well, I think the reason China doesn't want other countries to have guns from the United States, and yeah, I agree, we do export a lot of firearms and ammunition to other countries. China doesn't like that because they want to control it, and they can give armaments to whoever they want to when they'll be able to defend themselves, in their country. They don't like it that we're giving arms to the Ukraine, and whether you support Russia, Ukraine, or you don't really care. Russia is just supposed to roll in there, and then Ukraine's not supposed to defend themselves because we're basically giving them, all their weapons over there. And I mean, private companies were sending guns over at the beginning of the invasion there to help them defend themselves, which everybody thought it was great, including Biden. But I mean, over here, people like him and the Russians and Chinese, they don't like us exporting our weapons to countries to defend themselves. So I think that's pretty hypocritical of them to say that stuff, because they're allies. I guarantee you China exports tons of firearms and weapons to their allies, right?
Oh, I bet they do. They have to. Clay, what do you think on that?
Well, try this again. Yeah, China is probably, I think it's interesting that one of the most vicious communist nations is sitting there telling us that we're the horrible people in the world when we brought more freedom, democracy, republic, stabilization, anything you can name. We've done more of that than any other nation in the world. China's been the worst as far as human rights violations, and then they're telling us that our guns, which, as Jamie pointed out, their Chinese-made AK-47s can be found everywhere in the world, especially in terrorist nations like Iran, Iraq, and others. So, yeah, that it's hypocritical to hear this, but it doesn't surprise me. That's the way China is.
Well, I mean, not only that, Clay, there's how many hundreds of thousands of Chinese-made SKSs are rolling around the U.S. I mean, before, right around when 9/11 happened, I mean, you could get an SKS. I mean, if somebody doesn't know, that's the same round that the AK-47 shoots, 7.62 by 3.9. You could buy one of those for $80, and I mean, super reliable semi-automatic, had 10 rounds in it, and China was bringing them over here by the shiploads. They didn't mind that, and we were buying them here. And
Yeah.
they were at this UN council, and everybody there was basically, blaming the U.S. for all of this. And surprisingly, this administration kind of stood up to that, which I thank them for that. But I got a kick out of this. The one guy here, an African leader, once said that the raging war in Ukraine is now a major source of weapons that bolster ranks of terrorism in the Lake Chad region, which is in Africa. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, in Rwanda, I don't know if you've ever read the book called Machete Season.
No.
In 2 months, when there was no guns over there, 50,000 Tutsis were murdered by the Hutsus with machetes in 2 months. It took 800,000 in 1 year. So,
Yeah.
you worried about guns coming over there. You took care of business with machetes pretty good by the sounds of it to me. So, I don't, when people are blaming guns for that, I can't.
Well, let me ask you this. So when it comes down to if we're shipping off military, or if we're shipping off, ammunition, what does that do for us as, sportsmen like you guys? If you have problems now finding ammunition, is that something that you're finding you're running into?
Well, I'll tell you what, most of the calibers that they're shipping out probably are like the 223 5.56. Like the NATO rounds and the 7.62 by 51, which is your civilian 308 round. I mean, we can shoot 7.62 by 51 as well. But so as far as like that, I don't think for most people that's putting too much of a dent. I mean, it is obviously using powder and brass and stuff like that, but I don't think for a sportsman or just a general person here that's affecting it a whole lot. But I mean, maybe Clay's got a different take on that, but that's kind of the way I think of it.
No, I'm kind of with you, Jamie. I don't think that's really affecting hunters as a whole. To tell you the truth, I think it's going to be that. I got to remember, NATO shoots a 5.56, not General 223. So I don't think it's even going to affect the AR ammunition much. It may. I don't see it doing it a lot, though. I think it's going to be relatively. It's not going to. My biggest thing is funny is that China's accusing. Again, here's a Chinese, a communist country, talking about how we don't keep track of our ammunition. Well, that's because we have rights and freedoms versus their country to track everything, everybody, and control them. So once again, this isn't our problem. Yeah, I think they got a bigger in their hands than we do.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this Wang Wenbin, the spokesman for the United Nations in China, said he argued that America's tolerance for gun violence is creating violence. So we don't have a tolerance for guns and gun. I have a tolerance for guns because it's my right, just like I have a tolerance for free speech and anything else. But I mean, we don't tolerate gun violence over here. It's like I said, whatever country you're in, there's going to be some sort of it. So,
and that term gun violence is just another catch term from the left. There's no such thing. Guns don't create violence. They don't do violence. I might sit back here all the time, don't even move unless I touch them, and they don't do anything violent. It's a person. It's a people problem. And let's face it, Chinese is one of the most oppressed countries as far as when it comes to their citizens. It's not our problem.
Well, the Mexican, they were talking about the Mexican cartels having them and crime down there too. Well, guess what? Yeah, we do export a bunch of guns and ammo to Mexico, to their military, which is where one of the main sources the cartels get for their guns and ammo is their military. Mexico doesn't have a gun manufacturing company. Where are they supposed to get their guns for their military and everything else down there? Because if we'd stop doing it, guess who would move in? I'll promise you, the Chinese move in. Hey, we got some guns for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Hey, on a side note, I want to ask Clay, did you get any snow down there this past weekend?
We did. It wasn't as bad as they predicted. Yes, we'll take that as a win and a positive. But I suppose we got 6 to 8 inches as a whole. But the wind is what killed us down here. It drifted in areas. I spent pretty much every day here with our big blower on the back of the tractor, blowing out hay, blowing out corrals, just getting things fed. And then we started calving, which we weren't supposed to. We're 2 weeks early, but I guess we're officially started now, and everything went well. We saved the calf and on the coldest night. So yeah, I guess we're doing okay.
Well, with that being said, I know that we're, I think, about 9 inches or so from breaking an all-time snowfall record here, at least up north in the Bismarck metro area. What does that do for game, that there's so much snow on the ground, whether it be upland game or just deer in general or whatever? What does it do for them to seek not only shelter but for food itself?
It makes it tougher. There's no doubt about it. I've got a group of turkeys that usually hang around here. I had around 14, 15. I'm down to 8. I think coyotes have taken some, but I'm pretty sure that finding food's pretty tough out here. I know picking through our corrals and going through the hay and the waste and grabbing grain from the cattle's feces. That's just what they do. They're finding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he froze up on us.
Pheasants have moved in. I don't have a ton of pheasants. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yep.
But we've had probably 20 to 25 birds in the yard here, which is more than I've seen probably in 3 years. So I hope that isn't all of them that's left. It makes it pretty tough. The deer seem to be managing well, but the birds are taking a hit.
Yeah, I talked to my dad and my buddy up there too, who lives in Golden Valley, and they haven't been seeing a whole lot of deer. But usually, for whatever reason, deer don't winter around our place that much. But pheasants still seem like they're hanging in there pretty good even after this last storm. So they didn't get nearly as much there. I think he said they got 5 inches, but the wind blew and everything, and like Clay said, they scavenge everything. Like mule deer, they'll just go and eat buckbrush leaves, or they'll eat pretty much anything. I think mule deer are tougher than whitetails actually, but. Because they're bigger and it seems like they can eat just junk and grow, where whitetails seem to want to come in and eat the hay bales and get on in the corn, and they don't go around eating on trees too much that I've seen, but like I said,
picky eaters.
Whitetails are about wiped out.
Yesterday, I did see a report on everybody's favorite social media outlet that there was a gentleman who had saw a coyote crossing the river on the ice. Have you ever seen anything like that, a deer or anything crossing a lake or something?
Well, I can tell you this. There's a creek that runs through our land, and we see the coyotes. That's one of their main patrol areas is on the creek. You can see their footprints in the snow on there all the time. Looking for whatever pheasants hanging by the creek bank there or whatever. So anything they can get, I suppose, mice hang around there too. But but like a big lake or something, like ice fishing or something. No, I've never seen one coming across something like that.
Clay?
I have, especially ice fishing up there in Fort Peck. I can't tell you how many times we saw the coyotes across in Fort Peck. It was kind of interesting. Second year we went up, we went ahead and got our licenses so that we could snipe a few of them as they come through their ice houses, which was interesting. I have seen deer, especially whitetails. But
okay, it froze up again. I wonder if maybe if you signed out and came back in, that wouldn't help. There you go. Let's try that. So let's try that. Let's see. Let's talk about this Utah bill. Speaking of sniping, Utah bill that could open unlimited year-round mountain lion hunting and removing bag limits. Good idea or poor attempt at conservation?
Well, reading through this, it passed the House and the Senate, so they're just waiting for their governor. I think his name is Jay Cox or something. I can't remember exactly, but they want to just, because their regular mountain lion season was 7 months, and they had bag limits, and now they want to do it for a whole year with no bag limits. And the reason I think they're doing this, Jay, is Utah's mule deer population is in decline. It was at an all-time high in the late 60s of like 600,000, and they're down to 300 and some thousand now. And a Colorado study on the mountain lions in Colorado, which if anybody knows geography, is right next to Utah. So, and Colorado is a huge mule deer state too. But they figured a mountain lion will eat 1 mule deer per week, and about half of those are fawns, right? And Colorado has more mountain lions. Utah has 2,000, so you can do the math. 2,000 mountain lions eating 1 a week is almost 100,000. So that's almost
a lot. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm even something like a predator. I'm hard pressed to just hunt them suckers to extinction. I don't, And I'm not sure that's what would happen here, but boy, if you open it up for a whole year and just put no limits on it, like the one guy said here, he's I don't know what outdoor group or something he's with. He said he's not too concerned about it being open year round, but just the open bag limits on it is, could you imagine if they did that here with deer or something, but
Yeah.
I'm I don't know. I'm against some of it. Like I said, I think they should take the bag limit thing out on it, but year round, I wouldn't have a problem.
So year round, you're okay, but I guess maybe a limit of 1 or 2 possibly per hunter would be fine, right?
Yep. I would say too, if we're speaking of kind of on the predator thing here, the coyotes up in our area, I mean, guys have been just pounding them up there, night hunting, day hunting, just harvesting the heck out of them. And they're still, like I said, I was texting with a friend of ours, our neighbor up there, and he said they're just everywhere yet.
Really?
Because a lot of guys will road hunt them up there, but even now that all the snow, you can't really, that kind of curtails their road hunting for them. So, I mean, I don't know if mountain lions can reproduce like coyotes can. I don't know what they're, how many they have when they have kittens or whatever. But yeah, I'm somewhat against that. So, like I said, I think the main reason they're doing it is because mule deer hunting is a big source of income for Utah. They have probably the biggest mule deer in the country next to Colorado. Maybe they're even, but. Yeah, I think that these big mule deer going down, their outfitters and the people living there are probably barking about it pretty hard. And like I said, if the mountain lions are taking close to a third of them a year, that's I was pretty shocked when I actually looked into that and read that study. And I think a Colorado wildlife study actually did that too. So
that's pretty significant. Well, now we welcome back Clay. We were just talking about this Utah bill that has opened unlimited year-round for mountain lion hunting and removing bag limits. So what do you think on that? Good idea or bad idea?
Well, I think it's a great idea. People don't realize mountain lions are a pretty elusive animal. I've been to mountain lion hunting. They're harder to hunt than you think. Even in like South Dakota, when I was a South Dakota resident and they opened it up, you'd have thought it'd been really, really easy. I mean, they'd never really been hunted. It was not. They're very elusive. They actually try to avoid people. So, for every mountain lion they're taking, there's probably 20 that are not being taken. They're not going to hurt the populations. And from what I can see, as in Utah, Colorado, South Dakota, it was decimating the mule deer herds. They like to feast on mule deer. So, and I don't know what you guys covered while I was blinked out there, but I think it's a great way to help start managing the actual populations and provide another thing for people to do. I love hunting, and I know Jamie does. So to me, it's just another great opportunity.
Yeah. I told Jay what I think I kind of would be a little against is just no bag limits on the year-round thing. I wouldn't really care about, but I don't know. Like I don't know how. Like I said, I don't know how many kittens a mountain lion has. If you could just, I mean, I'm not hunting anything to extinction, but I mean, like I told Clay, I know you missed it, Jay. I'm sorry if I'm going to be a little redundant, but I think they're doing it in Utah because it is, Clay. I was telling Jay that 2,000, they estimated at 2,000 mountain lions in Utah, and a mountain lion, they say each mountain lion will kill 1 deer a week. So you do that, and it's almost 100,000 mule deer a year that they're killing. And then, like I said, when you came back, maybe you heard me, mule deer hunting is huge in Utah, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons they're doing this. So.
I think another good tool with that is to make sure you don't decimate the population of mountain lion. You can have an open season with no bag limit, but set yourself a harvest goal. That's what they did in South Dakota. They sold as many tags as you wanted to buy, which of course increased revenues for game and fish, but by a big margin. And once that threshold was hit for their harvest goal, it just shut the season off. That's probably the way to do it the best. Figure out how many you want to take. What's a manageable number, and then sell as many tags you want, and kind of like the first guy there win, I guess.
Yeah, just so you got extra doe tags, sell them out.
Yep, there you go.
Let's move to this Department of Defense panel wants to prohibit gun and ammo sales to troops under 25 years of age. We should note this comes from the Suicide Prevention and Response Independent Review Committee. It's a report that was released this past weekend, and this would only be on DoD property. When I first read it, the first thing that came to my mind, of course, would be the suicide prevention. Even before I got to the Suicide Prevention Response Independent. But I think that's probably a good idea. What do you guys think on this?
Go ahead, Clayton.
I'm not much for it. Department of Defense property. Well, that means you're going to have soldiers included in this. I don't see anything that distinguishes that it won't be. So we're going to allow people who are 18 years of age to vote, be drafted, die for their country, handle firearms probably in the most trained way versus anybody, but yet you're not going to allow them people to actually have them anywhere else. Doesn't even make sense to me, honestly. To me, let them people carry, let them purchase them, let them have them. And you probably have the safest piece of property that you can have because you've got actual trained people there with them. That's my opinion.
Well, I would say first of all, they can go off the base and buy one and commit suicide if they want to. Then I don't know that that's going to stop anything. I mean, I see what they're getting at, but I mean, stuff like this has been tried, and I just don't think it works. And it's just it seems like a bad idea to me. Actually, like I said, it's a good in thought. If they want to say, I don't want these military young men killing themselves, young men and women doing that either. But it's just not going to do anything. And like Clay said, they're going to war, and what makes you think of their practice? And then at the firing range, they just won't take their M4 and turn it on themselves if they don't have their own gun. And they want a waiting period too, a 4-day waiting period for it. Again, like we were talking about last week, like for criminals, giving them a waiting. I mean, you think if you're already committed to killing yourself, I'm not sure a little waiting period is going to change your mind. I could be wrong, maybe it will, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm with Clay. I'm not in favor of this at all.
Well, it hasn't worked in states already that implemented their own waiting periods. California comes to mind, and suicides have actually been on the rise the last 15 years there. It didn't do anything. You've got California, and I always use them as the example because they like to tout that they're the best in the utopia of gun laws, and they've got some of the worst results that you've ever.
Oh no!
Yep. You got sniped. He's back. You sure that storm isn't going on down there yet, Clay?
I tell you, I love living in the middle of nowhere, but it has its disadvantage.
Hey Jay, if you don't got anything else to add to that, I actually got a few more things on some of the North Dakota gun bills.
If you wouldn't, we've got about 5 minutes here, so go ahead, Jay.
Okay, good. So there's House Bill 1339. It would take away the 30-day requirement that you possess a North Dakota driver's license to carry in North Dakota. That was actually referred to the Judiciary House Committee or Senate Committee. So there's a few other things added to that. I didn't get it printed off, but and then there's restoration of your gun rights for felons, not violent felons, but let's say you do like a tax, whatever they get you, because some of these tax evasion things and some weird stuff, Clay might know more about it, that'll turn you into a felon where you lose your gun rights. That one's in a committee hearing too. I think it went to the Senate. That's 3/15 on March 15th actually, and they're going to do that. So if you're a felon, which I'm cool with that, because if you're a felon and you did your time to society, man, I mean, unless you're like Jeff Dahmer or something, you get your rights back.
Yeah, I agree with you.
To me, if it's a non-violent felony, like Jamie was talking about, I mean, it could be somebody who extorted, $250,000 from a bank, or it's white collar crime generally, things like that. I mean, you could actually be charged with felony reckless driving. Now that actually exists.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
for sure.
You didn't do anything. You didn't kill nobody. So I think once you've done, if you've done the crime and you've done the time and you've paid your quote debt to society, there's no reason you shouldn't have those things restored, especially in non-violent situations. You screwed up. Everybody has their own demons, and they always deal with their own screw-ups. And to me, if they've proven that they're okay now and they've done their time and they're a productive member of society, why not restore those rights?
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that 100% on that. If, like you say, they did their time, they paid their dues, and if it was a nonviolent crime, I feel why not? If they're sportsmen at heart, why not allow them to be sportsmen again? Clay, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap things up for the week?
Well, I better get new internet connection. But no, we got a great lineup coming up for Wednesday. I'm gonna let Jamie talk a little more about that, and then of course you want to check out our website, gunsinthe701.com. And I think I have this figured out. We'll see how it worked today recording it, but I was able to post our In the Crosshairs up last week, and it seemed like it was received real well. So
Yeah.
kudos to everybody who went and supported that. And then thanks, Jay and KFYR, for having us on.
You bet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Wednesday night, I don't actually have the roster here with me, but
Well, I know we're going to go after John Stewart.
yeah. Number one on the list, John Stewart was going off. He had to sit down with the Oklahoma State Senator. I mean, it was almost like a Rich Eisen type thing, and so we're gonna have to go over that. I mean, like I told Clay before, that every time they say something, we have to go over, and fight back on it. So that's gonna be number one on that. And then I don't know if you checked out last week, Jay, the happy ending. It was a pretty good one we had.
Yeah.
That's always on there too. And I think we got another story of like a state like Montana. Last week we talked about Wyoming, but Montana's bringing all these gun companies in there, making a bunch of money, and I just don't understand why North Dakota doesn't do that. And, we always got a bunch of other things too. Second Amendment bullet points. We go over just some kind of short tidbitty stuff on that. And then, of course, on Friday, we're going to be, well, in case you don't know, on the podcast is a live stream every Wednesday at 6 Mountain, 7 Central. You can catch that on our website, www.gunsinthe701.com. And we're on Facebook and YouTube. And Fridays we're on Mitchell in the morning, KFYR 550 at 8:40 a.m. And Saturday, actually, Jay, if I can get this in quick on you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you know Scott Bachmeyer, Dakota Prairie.
Sure do.
Clay and I are friends with Scott. He's going to be in town, and he's going to do a show from my place here, and I'm going to be a guest on there. And he's talking about a Baker, Montana wild game feed, and they give away 110 guns there when they're doing this. So he's having a guy on from now we're going to talk about, and I don't know, some other shenanigans with me and Scotty will get into on there, I'm sure.
Well, very good. Well, you definitely say hi to Scott for me. I'm good friends with Scott.
Do.
So we'll look forward to catching up with you guys again next week, next Monday, 12:30 right here. We're in the Crosshairs with JD and Clay. You gentlemen have yourself a great week out there, okay?
You too, Jay. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, guys. Hey, don't forget. There it is. All right. Catch up with you guys next week.
bet.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks now.